Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching Kama Speaks. And today I am speaking with Diana Wehbe. She is a radio personality, motivational speaker, and an author. She is the founder of the Purpose Foundation, and I want to welcome her so much for being on my show. And thank you so much, Diana, for being a part of this show.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
I know this is a little different because you're usually behind not even in the camera. You're on the mic, so this is a little different for you. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the Purpose Foundation and how that got started?
In a nutshell, 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with an ovarian cyst that turned out to be cancerous, and then I was also diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and I felt like God had just really put it on my heart to fight, and like not just to fight um, in I guess what normal ways would be fighting, I guess with like common Western medicine or whatever, but it was more like a spiritual battle. And a lot of times we don't associate physical pain with spiritual growth and healing, but those two really do go together. And I felt like He called me to that fight, and so I answered, and it was a complete transformation of my life, from stress levels to the things that I deemed priority in my life, to food and fitness, and just changing everything really in my life. And within a span of 10 months, I had lost 100 pounds. The cancer was gone, and diabetes was completely reversed. And it was like this huge miracle and weight lifted off my life. And I feel like sometimes God calls us to, get to where He needs us to get in very strange ways. Because I never in a million years would have thought I would have been that sick, and I didn't think it would take that much for me to listen to His calling on my life, but it did. And so here I am now, 2 years later, happy, healthy, and I started a nonprofit to teach other people on how to do the same thing.
So your cancer that you had, the cancer and then the diabetes, did it have everything to do with your weight?
I don't know. Doctors say no. Everything. I mean, you go to an appointment and you get an opinion, and then you get a second, you get a third, and you get a fourth, and every single diagnosis I have, like, there's no correlation between your weight and your hormones. There's no correlation between food and your weight. And there's no correlation between food and your sick. Like, there was absolutely no, just from a scientific standpoint, there was no proven anything. And so every time I brought it up to a doctor, I got shut down. It was immediate negativity, immediately, hey, this isn't going to work. Just listen to us and do what we're saying. And not that I knock them, but I feel like maybe sometimes there should be a little bit more openness and communication, because clearly that wasn't communicated. There's hundreds of thousands of other people who are like me and could an alternate method and still find healing, and thank God this is one of them.
Well, when I heard you speak a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about some things that you were doing with your diet, and I was sitting there thinking, like, there is no way I can give up my cow, and I don't know how to do that. So let's talk a little bit about your diet and what are some things that you're doing in order that you started doing to start losing the weight.
Um, well, coincidentally, I've been trying to lose weight for over 5 years and I couldn't. And I tried everything from Atkins to Weight Watchers and everything in between. And it wasn't until I was diagnosed that I really took food seriously. And I felt like a lot of my prayer time was spent with God telling me to research food and understand the difference. Um, like that we are connected to our food, and we are not separate from our food. We are not separate from the earth. Like, we are all put here, and we all work together in this beautiful harmony. Like, otherwise we would have just been robots. We wouldn't need food, and we would just be solar powered. Like, and it's amazing how much we've been separated from our food. And it's almost like, oh, I don't care what food has, as long as I'm not hungry, I'm okay. But in reality, you're always starving. And in reality, there's no nutrition in the food we're eating. And so it wasn't until I completely understood what I was eating and why that I started to lose weight. It had nothing to do with me trying to lose weight. I was actually just trying to survive. I was trying not to die from cancer. That's what I was trying to do. And so when I stopped focusing so much on weight loss, I really started focusing on what does my body need today? What is my body telling me that it needs today? And your body will give you signals. You know when there's aches and you know when there's things going on. And once you've done research, you know what foods and what spices and what vegetables and what fruits um, help your body deal with whatever those things are, from anxiety to muscle pain, everything in between. So it wasn't never, and I stress this so much in my book, that I didn't change my diet to lose weight. I'm so grateful that I lost weight. I'm so much happier and healthier, and I can run and swim and do kind of crazy stuff now. Um, but I never did this to lose weight. It was something that came with the package.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your book. What's the name of your book, and give us a little bit more information about your book.
The book is called The Purpose Project. I actually have it looks like. It is 36 pages. It's
Oh,
really there's actually a lot in this book for as short as it is. Really short, really colorful book, and I did it this way on purpose. I'm super on the go, and um, sometimes I feel like going through a 300-page book to understand purpose is just a lot for me. And I'm like, bro, I cannot. I read like 20 pages, and I'm like, what is the point? Where are we at with this book? So I really kept this book very but I also gave a lot of information in such a small little package here. It talks about my illnesses, and it talks about my food choices, and prayers in here, and there's a 10-day get started plan. There's before and after pictures. There's some of my favorite meals in here, like little how-tos, and um, I'm really, really excited about this book. And my follow-up book, to be honest, I failed English 3 times in college, so for me to have written anything is a miracle in and of itself. So,
wow. It's possible. I tell people all the time, it's possible. That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, and just FYI for those that are watching, if you have any questions and you're logged into YouTube, make sure you ask questions for Diana if you have any questions. So your purpose, well, let's talk a little bit about being an author, because Thomas Speaks, I love to push entrepreneurship, and I'm actually working on a book as well. So that's a huge accomplishment for you. What are some things you can tell people that are out there thinking about doing a book, but they feel like, well, I'm not educated, or I just don't have enough to say. I don't know what to talk about, but I know I have something to talk about, whether I don't know how to expand. Is there some things that you can tell them to encourage them to go after that, their dream of becoming an author?
I would say that the same thing that I would say about anything in life, any goal that you have in life. Pray about it. There were a lot of things I really wanted that God didn't want for me, and I would waste my time on them and wonder why I was getting with it. And it wasn't until I finally like surrendered all of the things that I wanted and that God, if this is, and I still do that to this day. I mean, if it was up to me, my favorite company would be up and running today, but it's not. And and there's tons of other things that I have been working on that I'm like, if it was up to me, this would be done right now because I'm a workaholic and I would work and make it happen. But through this process of last week, I really learned to just let go and let God and really do it. And it's really hard because you're like, I can do this. So I've learned to pray about it and then to work for it. And if I see that it's not working, I go back and pray about it again. And if I feel like God's trying to teach me a lesson through why it's not working, I pay attention to that. And if He grants it to me, then I go after it full force. If He doesn't, then I say, you know what? Something else you need from me, so what is that? And I say that to a girl, she came and interviewed me. She wanted to work in radio, and she asked me, what would you say to someone who gets radio? And I told her the same exact thing. I didn't want to work in I work in radio. So I feel like God pulls people, have certain strengths, and He builds them up in those strengths and their weaknesses and uses them for something. So I don't know. I don't have any knowledge of whether you are well to write a book or to anyone. I didn't think I could write a book, but here I am. And I'm working on another one. So, and I don't want to write books. I hate writing. I'm like, God, really, even though I hate writing, but I feel close to it constantly. It's a constant thing. So pray about it. That's the best thing I can tell anybody is pray about it.
Wow. Okay. And I'm the same way. I tell everybody that's what I do. I got to pray about things, because if God leads you, then it's going to be right. It's just we try to take things into our own hands and just don't pray about it, or we pray about it and we don't wait for an answer, and we wonder why things don't go the way that we would like for them to go. So, yes, pray about it, you guys. Seek God first. That's what the Bible says. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. So,
Yes.
I wanted to talk to you as well about just being on the radio. And I hear you talking about the Lord and talking about putting God first. Let's talk a little bit about that. How is that working with being on the radio station? And are you able to talk about your values and things like that to help encourage while you're on such a huge public sector?
I it's been a year and a half now. I about a year and a half ago, and I actually, when I got called in to sign my contract, I thought I was getting fired. So that just shows you I'm never going to work expert on my life. Like people are like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, I don't know. Like, ask him. Like I remember being called in by PD and the GM called me in, and I really thought I was getting fired. I was like, well, here we go. And I walked in, they put the contract in front of me, and I didn't say over. And they said, are you happy? And I said, I don't know. I don't know what to do. And so they said, is salary not right? And I said, no, it's not the salary. The money's fine. It's good. I want to be able to serve them. That's all I want. And so if I'm able to do that, it's great. If I'm not able to do that, then I can turn this job down and stay right now. I thought I was getting fired anyways. You know, like I was okay with that. And they said, well, that's you express yourself however you want to express yourself. It's your opinion, it's your belief. Like, and we love it. We positive person, and they were like, this is who you are, and add diversity to, the station, to the morning show, and to your show. And so, yeah, we love it, and we support you all the way. And I said, okay, great. So I'm extremely blessed to be in the position that I'm in. I've learned some live radio, even though I'm able to be on camera, not behind a mic. It's hilarious. It's not hilarious. All right, God, thanks. And so I've learned to embrace it and to use everything that God has given me to praise Him.
Yes, and on your website you have prayer, patience, and purpose.
Yeah.
Where does those words? Where did that come from? Because I know anything that God gives you, it's for a reason. So prayer, patience, and purpose is something. Is even the order is good. Where did
Yeah.
that come from?
That came from halfway through me accomplishing what is now the Purpose Project, which I didn't know what it was at the time. It was just, again, me trying to survive. So one day I just woke up and I really felt like those three words just kind of came out. And I thought, you know, I've been I've been praying so much, and this has been more of a spiritual journey than it has been a physical one. And so prayer naturally was the first word. And then patience. I mean, I'm young. I'm in my 20s, so I don't know many 20-year-olds who have patience. Like, we want things when we want them, how we want them. We live in a here and now society, very fast, quick. We get what we want, internet, fast food, whatever. I mean, it's at our hands, fingertips to get it wherever we want. And I pray to learn patience in the process of this, because anyone who's been sick can tell you patience is the number one thing you will learn when you have an illness and a chronic illness, because you have nothing but time. In reality, you're sitting around, you're sick, you are pretty much handicapped. You can't do the things you used to be able to do because of your illness. And so without patience, you're an angry person trying to get better, but you're not, and your anger is holding you back, and it's this vicious cycle. So I really had to learn to be patient with myself, and also be patient with what God's calling was in my life, because I didn't know what it was. So I was constantly sitting around like, are you going to tell me today, or are we just sitting here? Like, what are we doing? And I was going crazy. Like, he really tried my patience. And so now, I mean, if you met me 2 years ago, I wasn't even the same person. We couldn't have this conversation because I wouldn't even know how to talk to you about what I'm talking about, because I wasn't mentally, I wasn't there. I was very impatient. I was very jumpy. I didn't have this piece that God has given me over time, and I still work at it. I still work at it to today. I mean, there's some days I'm like, all right, Lord, what's up? Like, what are we doing today?
Yes.
And then purpose.
Yes. I'm the original um, name of the show was Pursuing Your Passion. And I believe that when people go into if they're working in their passion, they'll know their purpose. And we don't realize it sometimes. Like with me, I love to speak, but I didn't realize where it was taking. I just thought I talked too much. But I realized that my purpose is in my speaking and getting out to talk to people about pursuing their passion. And I'm working on some things to get people to actually do that. And so your the name of your foundation is called the Purpose Foundation. So what are some other things that you guys are doing to get your name out there and get people to get more involved into your foundation and get your foundation built to help other people?
I mean, anything and everything at this point. I talked to I have a team of girls who volunteer for my nonprofit, and anything that makes sense or anything that we feel called to, like I mean, it could be anything from, going to a school um, in a very bad neighborhood that has a grand total of 70 kids at the school. We'll go. Where most motivational speakers would be like, I'm not driving all that way for free. And we don't charge to do so. It's a negative. We really, this is a labor of love. Like, our nonprofit is really a labor of love. So we'll do that. We call the Purpose Tour. And then on the other side of that, any event, like if there's like a lupus walk or a diabetes walk or something of that nature, and they ask me to come out and speak on things that would help people with these illnesses, I'll come out and speak. The only stipulation I have is that I'm able to talk about 3 topics, not just one. I always want to talk about food and fitness. Fitness comes first, food and fitness coming after. That has caused some ripples, but it's okay. I don't think change comes from not causing ripples or offending people. I think sometimes we have to be strong enough and convicted enough in what we're doing to cause a little ripple here and there. And not be ashamed of it. Say, hey, maybe I'm different than you, but it wouldn't hurt you to be a little bit more open because proof is in the pudding. I'm not making this stuff up. And so we really, and I mean, anything. I've spoken at Disneyland. I mean, we wherever we're called, I tell the girls, if we're called to it, let's go. So if someone comes and says, hey, we could really use you in Texas, can you come out? Yeah, let's do it. We try and accommodate as much as possible.
Well, that's great because you see people and we're like, how much is it? Because there's something I'll talk to you or your staff about off air that I'm actually working on that I would love for you guys to be a part of this. So we'll talk about it a little later. Now, what is your target market when you're out there talking? Do you have a target? Are you focused on young girls, young women? What exactly are you focused on to make sure that that particular group gets what you're putting out?
My target really is just youth in general. I would say that it's young girls. What I found is that there are so many young boys that need to hear what I'm saying because it's turned into not just faith, food, and fitness. It's turned into suicide prevention. It's turned into insecurities. It's turned into victims of rape and victims of human trafficking. It's one of those things that I didn't realize my calling until it happened, and people started asking me if I was a counselor or if I was a minister, and I said no. I just witnessed the miracle in my life, and because I'm vulnerable enough to share it, because it's not easy to get up there and tell people how sick you are and put your worst in your life, and open that part of you over and over again. Once you've gone past it and you've survived, you kind of want to just keep trucking forward. But to relive that over and over again, I think there's a great vulnerability in that, and I think kids recognize that because it's so real and it's coming from such a genuine place. So I try and focus on middle school and up. That's my demographic. I speak to adults sometimes. Like I have a couple of events this month geared at adults. I love speaking to kids. So middle school and high school are my 2 favorites, and really middle school to like freshman year of high school. That's like my favorite group. I feel like those kids are growing up way faster than they can even comprehend. And this is one of those things that really strikes a chord with them, and it's real, and it's something they can grab onto and say, wow, like, whether my friends aren't being real with me, or my family is being on me, or my teachers are being mean to me, or I get bullied, or whatever, or I had sex too early, or I am confused, or whatever that is for them, they see that same vulnerability in me, and it's so phenomenal to see God's work in that. Like, it's cool. It makes me the most happy. And it's cool because kids can change their parents. I can't. Like, I can't change adults. I've tried it. Not going to happen. No ways. But kids can change their parents. It's the coolest thing to see a kid like, Diana Wehbe, oh my God, I started eating salad, and then my mom, like, she wasn't down, but then now, like, she's down, and it's like the coolest. Or the girl that tells me, like, her and her mom have no relationship whatsoever, and her mom hates her, and they fight all the time, to a couple months later telling me what she said. I prayed for her, and I prayed with her, and I told her I loved her, and she turned around, and I thought she was going to hit me, but instead of hitting me, she turned around and gave me a hug and told me she loved me. Like, those are the things that I'm like, oh my God, like, I,
Wow.
it's phenomenal to see what happens on this tour, and my team is fueled by it, and fueled by it all the time. So it's a very tiring call, but it's a beautiful calling, and I wouldn't change it. It's phenomenal. So that's
Yeah.
my audience. That's who I love to speak to.
Yes, and we need as many people to speak to our young people because they are lost. I had a chance to go to a historic day back in February for a high school that was here locally, and what they did, they had a few African Americans were there to talk about some things in history, and it was for 40 and up, but they couldn't get enough people. So I was able to go in and just talk about some things I deal with being discriminated with, even just being a woman. And so as I was sitting there and I was talking to the young people, and I originally didn't want to deal with the youth. That wasn't my focus until I sat there and I listened to them, and I started hearing everything that they wanted to do in life and how they were not getting the encouragement. So when I told them what I was doing with my talk show and some more things that I do, they were so impressed. And I gave them my information. I haven't heard from any of them, but just to be able to sit in front of them and for them to know, for me to be able to tell them that they can make it and they can do it, it really made me feel good because I realized that they need people. They need somebody that's going to tell them that it is possible, whatever God has for them. They just don't have it anymore. So are you okay with being that role model? Because I hear people that are in a certain limelight that's like, I don't want to be a role model. I'm just doing what I want to do. How does that make you feel? Well, you did say how it makes you feel being a role model, but that wasn't your expected goal in the beginning, but it's making you feel good, right?
I think from, and I work with a lot of artists, so they kind of, you're right, I've heard that with them where I ask them, like, hey, you're kind of a role model now that you have 7.5 million followers, like, you're a role model, and I don't know if you can, but you are, and they'll tell me, like, I didn't get into this to be a role model, I got into this because I wanted to party for a living, I got it, whatever their reason is. Some of them not, some of them are very role model, and they say that they fail a lot, but they try. For me, it's the opposite. I got into it to be a role model. I didn't get into it for money or fame, or matter of fact, I could be making a lot more money doing anything else than what I'm doing now, because being that I have to lead by example, my money all the time for things that don't fit my moral, like, standards for my life right now. It's not set up. So um, I could be doing something and I would be making so much more money, and I wouldn't have to be a role model to anybody. I could just be open. But I got into the concept to be a role model. So if at any point I can't do that, then I don't need to be here anymore. It's very simple.
Well, I'm so glad that you accepted your calling. We need more people out there like you that's able to reach the masses like that and be positive, especially with all that's going on in this world today. It's scary, and people need to know, especially our youth need to know that they have someone to look up to watch as an example, and not be fearful of that. So I just say thank you for accepting your calling and being able to put this together. And sometimes in our pain, that's where our purpose comes. And it looks like that you do what you're found out your purpose and you move forward. So thank you. And before I let you go, why don't you let the audience know how they can get in contact or how they can follow you, where they can hear you, how they can reach you.
Instagram is probably my favorite social media app right now, so I would say follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Diana, Diana, the letter M, and then Marie, and then last name WHE, that Diana M, Marie. And purposeteam.org is the website for my nonprofit. If you're watching and you want to book a tour date, or if you want to have me speak at an event, you can do that on the website. Again, that's completely free as well. And if you want to come to my next event or I'm speaking at, you can find those dates on my website as well. And I post them on Instagram pretty frequently. You'll see those pop up. And I'm on 99.1 KGGI and Northern Line on iHeartradio Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. every single day.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on my show. I really appreciate that. And I will make sure your information is up. So for those that are watching, make sure you follow her on Instagram. Go visit her website, see what you need to help, donate, call her to come out to speak. She is positive. She's not just here in the limelight playing the role, and in the background she's not doing anything. She's doing what God has called her to do. But for those that are watching, I always tell you to pursue your passion, pursue what God has given you. He's given you a purpose in life, and whatever that purpose is, stop running from it, because we need you, and God has put you here for a reason. We are here on purpose, so always remember that. If you want more information, you can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Instagram and Facebook is probably my most preferred. I'm under Kama Speaks. That's KAMA. You can also go to my website, which is kamaspeaks.com. And if you want more information about my show, you can go to info@kamaspeaks.com. Thank you so much for watching and being a part of the show. I didn't have any questions for those that were watching. So thank you for being a part of the show. And remember, no matter what you do in life, always pursue your passion.